Section 7.1, we looked at computing Z confidence intervals. Remember Z confidence intervals to estimate population mean mu. And that's when we had the population standard deviation, sigma. So let's say we want to estimate the population mean still, mu. But this time we don't have the population standard deviation. It's unknown. So in reality, most of the time, if you're trying to estimate a population mean, you're not going to have the population standard deviation, right? Population is a large collection usually. You're not going to go out there and try to collect the data for a large population. What you're going to do, you're going to collect a sample, and you're going to take the sample average, and you're going to take the sample standard deviation. You're not going to have the population standard deviation usually. Now, when we're doing Z confidence intervals, we often had this population standard deviation based on previous studies. But in reality, that's a lot of work to do, studies just to estimate the population standard deviation. So what we're going to do, we're going to rely on the sample standard deviation, S, instead. So when you don't have population mean, you're going to use T confidence intervals. And here's the formula. The formula is the population mean, mu, is going to be bounded above by x bar plus T alpha over 2 times S over the square root of n, and bounded below by, similarly, x bar, this time minus T alpha over 2. Times S over the square root of n. Looks almost exactly like the Z confidence interval formula. Almost exactly like the Z confidence interval formula. The only difference is rather than S, or rather than sigma, you have S, and rather than Z alpha over 2, you have T alpha over 2. So let's write down the name of each of these ingredients right here. So what do these things represent? First of all, n is going to be the size of your sample size. So how big of a sample you collect randomly to estimate your population mean. S, well, let's do x bar. X bar is the average of your sample, or the sample mean, sample average. S is going to be the sample standard deviation, the standard deviation of the sample. What else? T alpha over 2, that's going to be the critical T score. Critical T score. And this is going to be based on not only your confidence level, but also your sample size. N. Yeah, so from N you're going to get your degrees of freedom. All right, and what else? All right, so mu, so these are the things you're going to be given here. These are going to be actual numbers you can find. The unknown is going to stay unknown as population mean. This is what you're trying to estimate. Yeah, so it's almost just like the Z confidence interval, but you're going to have the extra step of looking up the T alpha over 2 every single time. You're going to have to look up this guy every single time. You can't just memorize T scores. You have to look them up every single time. So you're going to have to look these up. Look up each time.